King Nebuchadnezzar was a powerful ruler. He had conquered many lands. He took many people captive from Jerusalem. Among them were 4 young men. Their names were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These young men were intelligent and capable. King Nebuchadnezzar saw their potential. He wanted them to serve in his palace. The king provided them with rich food and wine. These were delicacies from the king's own table. He wanted them to grow strong and wise. He had plans for them to serve in his kingdom, but there was a problem. The king's food went against their beliefs. Daniel and his friends were devoted to God. They followed God's rules. The king's food was not acceptable to Daniel and his friends. They knew God's laws about food. They could not eat food that was offered to idols. They knew they had to stay true to their faith, but they also knew they couldn't disobey the king directly. What could they do? They decided to talk to the king's servant, Ashpenaz. They asked for permission to eat only vegetables and water. Ashpenaz was worried. He feared the king's reaction. He thought they would become weak and sick. But Daniel had an idea. Daniel suggested a test. He asked Ashpenaz to let them eat vegetables and water for 10 days. After 10 days, he could compare their appearance to the other young men. Ashpenaz agreed to the trial. He was curious to see what would happen. For 10 days, Daniel and his friends ate only vegetables and drank only water. God blessed their decision. At the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and stronger than all the others. Ashpenaz was amazed. He saw that God was with them. He allowed them to continue eating their own food. Section 4. The Image of Gold and the Fiery Furnace. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar built a giant statue of gold. He commanded everyone to bow down and worship it. Anyone who refused would be thrown into a fiery furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to bow. They worshipped only God. They would not bow to any idol. The king was furious. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than normal. Then he commanded his guards to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into the blazing furnace. The king expected them to burn to ashes. Section 5. God's Miraculous Protection. This section recounts one of the most awe-inspiring stories of divine intervention and faith. It is a tale that has been passed down through generations, illustrating the power of unwavering belief and the miraculous protection that can come from it. The king watched in astonishment. His eyes widened as he witnessed something beyond his comprehension. This was no ordinary event. It was a spectacle that defied the very laws of nature. The flames did not harm the 3 young men. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stood in the midst of the roaring fire, yet they were untouched by the flames. Their faith had shielded them from what should have been certain death. In fact, he saw 4 figures walking in the fire. The 4th figure was unlike any human. It radiated a divine presence, a celestial being sent to protect the faithful. One of them looked like an angel. This divine figure was a testament to the power and protection of their God, a visible sign of the miraculous intervention that was taking place. He called out, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here!" His voice echoed with a mix of fear and reverence, acknowledging the divine power he had just witnessed. The 3 men walked out of the fire, unharmed. They emerged from the furnace without a single burn, their faith having shielded them from the inferno. Their clothes were not even singed, and their hair was not burned. It was as if they had never been in the fire at all, a true miracle that left everyone in awe. The fire had not touched them. Their faith had created an impenetrable shield protecting them from the flames that should have consumed them. The king was amazed by this miracle. He had never seen anything like it before, and it changed his perception of the divine. He realized the power of their God. This event was a turning point for him, a moment of revelation that made him acknowledge a higher power. He praised their God and made a decree. The king's proclamation was a testament to the undeniable power he had witnessed. He declared that everyone should respect the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. This decree was a monumental shift, recognizing the divine power that had protected the 3 men. Section 6. Daniel's Prayers and the Lion's Den. Daniel also faced a difficult challenge. Living in a foreign land, he had risen to a position of great influence and respect. However, his unwavering faith in God made him a target for those who envied his success. Some officials were jealous of Daniel's position. They saw his devotion to his God as an opportunity to bring him down. They knew that Daniel would never compromise his faith no matter the cost. They tricked the king into making a new law. They convinced him that it would strengthen his authority and unify the kingdom. The king, unaware of their true intentions, agreed to their proposal. This law forbade anyone from praying to any god but the king. It was a direct attack on Daniel's faith, designed to force him into a position where he would have to choose between his loyalty to God and his obedience to the king. Daniel knew about this law. He understood the consequences of defying it. Yet, his faith was unshakable. He believed that his duty to God was far more important than any earthly decree. But he continued to pray to God 3 times a day. He did this openly, without fear or hesitation, knowing that his actions were being watched by those who sought to destroy him. He refused to let any law come between him and his God. His faith was his strength, and he trusted that God would protect him, no matter what happened. The jealous officials told the king about Daniel's prayers. They were eager to see him punished, confident that their plan had succeeded. The king was upset, but he had to uphold the law he had made. He realized too late that he had been manipulated, but he felt bound by his own decree. Daniel was thrown into a den of lions. It was a punishment meant to be fatal, a terrifying ordeal that no one was expected to survive. The king hoped that Daniel's God would save him. Despite his role in Daniel's predicament, he admired Daniel's faith and secretly wished for his deliverance. The next morning, the king rushed to the lion's den. His heart was heavy with guilt and fear, but also with a glimmer of hope. He was overjoyed to find Daniel alive and well. Against all odds, Daniel had survived the night, untouched by the lions. God had sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. It was a miraculous intervention, a testament to the power of Daniel's faith and the protection of his God. The king realized the greatness of Daniel's God. He saw firsthand the power and mercy of the God whom Daniel served so faithfully. He punished those who had accused Daniel. Their deceit and malice were exposed, and they faced the consequences of their actions. He declared that everyone should respect the God of Daniel. The king's decree was a powerful acknowledgement of the true God's sovereignty, inspired by the unwavering faith of one man. Section 7. Courage and Faith in Times of Trial. The stories of Daniel and his friends teach us important lessons. These ancient tales are not just stories from the past, but timeless examples of unwavering faith and steadfast courage. They teach us about courage and faith. In the face of overwhelming odds, they stood firm, showing us that true bravery comes from a deep trust in God. They teach us to trust in God, even in difficult times. Their prayers and unwavering belief remind us that faith can move mountains and bring light to the darkest of times. When we face challenges, we can remember their example. Their stories inspire us to stand tall and face our own trials with the same courage and faith. We learn that God is always with us. His divine presence is a constant source of comfort and strength, guiding us through every storm. He protects those who trust in him. Just as a shepherd guards his flock, God watches over us, shielding us from harm and leading us to safety. He gives us strength to face our fears. With his support, we can overcome any obstacle, no matter how insurmountable it may seem. No matter what challenges we face, we can always rely on God. His unwavering love and guidance are our anchors in the stormy seas of life. He is our protector, our guide, and our source of hope. In every trial, he is there, lighting our path and giving us the courage to move forward. Let's be brave like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Their stories remind us that with faith, we can face any trial and emerge victorious. Let's always choose to honor and trust God in everything we do. In every decision, every challenge, let our faith be our guiding light.